The main villain of the MCU's Thunderbolts movie is going to be Sentry. We've heard many reports confirming that this is going to be the case. Sentry is going to be a character introduced in this film and will be the main villain of the movie. Now, for months, we've known that Steven Yeun, who you may know as the voice of Invincible, he was in Beef, fantastic actor. He has been cast in the role as Sentry, which has actually also led to pretty much everybody from Beef also being added to the crew as well, including the director of Thunderbolts worked on Beef, the writers of Beef are now writing Thunderbolts, and of course the star, Steven Yeun. So really we were getting a whole Beef reunion over there with Thunderbolts, and it was great. And I mean, Steven Yeun as Sentry was definitely a really out-of-the-box casting idea that nobody saw coming. But, I mean, even as much as, like, he doesn't look like the character, like, he's half the size of what the character should be, I was really looking forward to seeing this take on Sentry. But we just got official breaking news that now he has unfortunately exited the movie and has dropped out of the role as Sentry in Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts. Now, this report first came out a couple hours ago from the DCU Leaks subreddit mod team. And I don't know why, but every once in a while they put out scoops about Marvel stuff, which makes zero sense because they're a DC group, but whatever. They've put out scoops before and they've turned out to be true. But this came out today and everybody thought it was false. Everybody was like, oh, they're just making up all this stuff, and oh, they're just trying to be the next big scooper and all this stuff, and oh, it's all fake. But then like 10 minutes ago, it comes out from the Hollywood Reporter that it's true. So honestly, this raises 100% the credibility of the DCU Leaks subreddit mod team, which is really cool. But also it sucks because that means that this is true and Steven Yeun is no longer going to be your Sentry. Which again, I mean, it was a weird casting, but one that I was looking forward to seeing just because of how good of an actor Steven Yeun is. And I was really looking forward to seeing him get a bigger, more mainstream role. I mean, he has Invincible, obviously, but even that, like, the general audience doesn't know about that. But I mean, like, if he was in a Marvel movie, that'd be a much bigger deal. And I thought it would have been really cool, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. But of course, this leads now to the question of who is going to play Sentry. And actually, one more thing I want to add is the reason given for his exiting of the film is due to scheduling. And, you know, sometimes people will just say like, oh, they exited due to scheduling, and it's usually like creative differences or something like that. But in this case, it actually is scheduling issues because of the actors and writers strikes. Some projects he was working on and was supposed to shoot ended up getting delayed, and the time they're going to be shooting Thunderbolts, he's going to be shooting other projects that he's already contractually obligated to do. So that's the reason for it, but we're still getting Sentry in this movie. They're just unfortunately going to have to recast the character. So of course that brings the question of who's the actor that's going to be cast as Sentry in Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts movie. And, you know, the biggest name that people will put out there is Henry Cavill because, yeah, I mean, Sentry is basically Marvel's Superman, and, I mean, Henry Cavill was a great Superman, and specifically a darker take on Superman. So yeah, give him a villain Marvel Superman and, you know, give him a long blonde Thor looking wig, and yeah, you got Sentry. That would be great casting. But I think I may know who actually has already been cast as Sentry, or at least is already in talks for the role of Sentry in the MCU, and that is Ryan Gosling. Because very recently we got reports that Ryan Gosling was in talks for a secret role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Nobody knew what it was going to be for. We all speculated Ghost Rider, specifically because he's said in the past he really wants to play Ghost Rider in the MCU. We also talked about maybe Nova, but Sentry, I think, is the most likely option now, considering that Steven Yeun dropped out, because if you go back to before Steven Yeun was even cast, when they were first working on casting this character, they were looking for a Ryan Gosling type. And at the time, supposedly Ryan Gosling was in talks and was having discussions about playing Sentry in Thunderbolts. Now, I'm assuming for the same reason, scheduling issues or something along those lines, Ryan Gosling wasn't able to be cast in the role, so then they moved on and they found Steven Yeun. Great casting, but now they don't have Steven Yeun. Maybe now with things being shuffled around, especially with the actors and writers strike, it could be the opposite effect. Steven Yeun had a project lined up that he is going to be filming during the same time. Maybe Ryan Gosling either doesn't have any more projects or he does have other projects still lined up, but not set to shoot until after Thunderbolts is done. So now he has time in his schedule to play Sentry in Thunderbolts. That's my theory. Now, that is by no means confirmed. I haven't seen anyone else discussing that anywhere. But, you know, I'm just putting two and two together, connecting the dots, putting the puzzle together, and it makes sense. So again, don't take it as confirmation. It's just my theory for now. But I think it makes a lot of sense, especially with, I mean, yeah, you could argue, oh, Steven Yeun just dropped out of the role. This was weeks ago when we first heard about Ryan Gosling being in talks for a role. Well, yes, the news of Steven Yeun dropping out just came out today to the public, but I feel like that's something the Marvel Studios would have had to have known about weeks ago, at least. And so it makes sense that they would have already been in talks with another actor. And this could also be one of the other reasons why at the time when those reports were going around, nobody knew what role he was in talks for, because it was this role that we thought had already been cast. So again, just my theory, but I think this could be the case. I think Ryan Gosling maybe will be our Sentry, which, I mean, Ryan Gosling, another great actor. I love the guy. And if he can be Sentry, I'm so down for that. I mean, he's also similar to Steven Yeun, where, you know, he's skinnier, but he is a bit bulkier than Steven Yeun is. But I'd love to see him bulk up even more to get that kind of Superman level going. But anyways, guys, I guess let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The sad news that Steven Yeun has unfortunately dropped out of Thunderbolts and will no longer be our Sentry for the MCU, but also the possibility of maybe Ryan Gosling will be our Sentry. Or maybe not. Again, it's all up in the air. It's just my theory. Who do you want to see cast as Sentry in the MCU now that we no longer have Steven Yeun? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.